r/AskReddit by Redmond Dtes. What is the craziest thing you witnessed at a party? Got a gun pointed at my crotch by the girl whose apartment the party was at. She laughed and said it wasn't loaded. Then some guy called her back over to the table where he was sitting. He said, "Give me that," and proceeded to pull out the magazine. I left about then. My granddad likes to say, it's always an unloaded gun that kills someone. Luckily that wasn't the case this time. House party in college. Standing in the kitchen. It was low key, everyone was 1 or 2 degrees separated, so not a rager. A guy was doing a shot of Captain Morgan with a few others. He poured it out of an Nalgene bottle that everyone got at orientation. The guy was one of the heavier drinkers in the group, so he was already pretty deep in the sauce. After they all threw the shots back, he had that look. The maybe I can hold this one down look. He couldn't hold it down. Luckily he was nearest the kitchen sink when he threw up. But what came out was not normal. The unholy liquid that came from his mouth was deep red with chunks of what looked like muscle. Or thin fluid with just masses of meat and other things. It was like an 80s movie special effect after a guy gets shot in the head. And all this was just thrown into a stainless steel kitchen sink and surrounding countertop. Before he was even done purging, he just groaned and screamed, turning on the water faucet while simultaneously scrapping the red vomit into the basin. Everyone was horrified. Turns out the guy had spent the day at a diner eating all-you-can-eat fried chicken with cherry cake for dessert with a group of friends. And also turns out the guy was me. I was that guy. An extremely drunk or high guy, I have no idea, he was wobbling around and hallucinating, and he made my bed. I watched, also fairly drunk, from the corner of my room, as he fell on top of it over and over, while attaching the sheets and tucking them under the mattress. Guy's mother must have drilled some crazy sense of duty into him. I was in a band. The crowd was invited to the after party for a show. The guitarist was pretty interesting. He invites 2 chicks that are friends to wrestle in a kiddie pool full of vegetable oil. I had been in a committed relationship for a couple years at this point. Still wanted to watch, but was not wanting to be disloyal. So the crowd is watching the 2 girls go at it. I watch until their tops come off, then exit the party. I see a very sad looking kid, maybe 12 or 13 years old, standing outside. Remembering being that age, and feeling bad, I say, "Hey kid. Why so sad? You should go into the party, there's 2 chicks wrestling with their boobs hanging out." "That's my sister," he said. I felt so awful. Ended up hanging out with him to try to make him feel better. I once got stabbed in the freaking chest at a party. This guy had a ceramic plate of wings, was drunk, and I accidentally bumped into him, dropping his wings and plate. He got so freaking mad, he picked up a shard of the plate and stabbed me with it. I ended up going to the hospital, but was mostly okay. I was at a New Year's party years ago in some house of a guy I kinda know. 2 guys were there, and we all assumed them to be a couple because of how touchy-feely they were. Turns out they just met that night, but had a wicked intense connection like immediately. So I'm in the chill out room chatting to people when I needed to piss. I got up and made my way to the toilet. On my way back I chose the wrong room and walked into the coke room. One of the 2 gay guys walked in behind me, also lost. I knew a couple of the guys in the coke room, so I stalled to have a chat, politely saying no to the seedy case of limes. The guy behind me is interested and pushes in between us. This knocks the coke guy over and a few lines fall to the carpet. Well, all hell breaks loose. Coke guy puts the coke down and starts fighting the gay guy. Some of the guys start trying to calm things, so I go looking for the guy's boyfriend. I tell him your boyfriend is in a fight. He doesn't really know what to do. He explains how he just met him tonight, literally 15 odd minutes before midnight, when he was just looking for a New Year's shift. This was about 4 AM, so he knew this guy less than half a day. He did go see if he could help, but the two guys were separated and both told to stay away from each other. This worked for about 10 minutes before they bumped into each other in the hall. They start to fight and are broken up again. This happens twice more before the guys whose house it is, the house guy, tells the coke guy to get out. He seemed to be the one causing it. He asks for a couple minutes to get his stuff together, his coke, and so he can take a piss. The lads say okay, but then he can go. He takes his coke to the bathroom and we laugh. He's not taking a piss. We leave him there, and I go back to the chill room with gay guy, who is now being grilled by some hippie girl over what happened. He doesn't seem too comfortable talking to her, so excuses himself. After a few minutes, he is not back, so his not boyfriend goes to find him. He returns, looking shook and sad. He can't get the words out, so I go up. I hear bumping and shoes scuffling in the bathroom, and I immediately think they're fighting in there. I call the guys who live here, and they jam me the door open. There is coke guy on top of gay guy, absolutely eating the face off each other, hands down, pants and all. They realize they've been caught, and gay guy goes beet red. Coke guy, for reasons only God knows, gets so embarrassed, he punches gay guy and jumps at house guy. He gets kicked out, and gay guy follows him. The other gay guy is sitting downstairs completely bewildered and quite upset. Hippie girl is trying to comfort him. House guy is asking everyone if anyone had any idea that coke guy was gay or bi or whatever. It's a surprise to them all. I sit down in the hippie circle and sympathize with my new friend. Hippie girl then tries it on with him, leans right in for the kiss. He obviously rejects her. She gets upset and leaves. He sits there, smoking a joint, staring off at the wall, and just says, "What a freaking night." Guy showed up with a duck on a leash. Freaking wild man. There's a certain club in Berlin. If you go to the men's bathroom, you're almost certainly going to run into this one guy who's been there for years, who will beg you and other random men to piss on his face and thank you if you do. He will do it for hours every night. He is pretty polite and doesn't force you to piss on him, though he will beg you for it. I've seen a lot of crazy things, but this one dude is impossible to forget. My friend's older brother Tim showed up uninvited. All night he kept asking everyone if they had seen his twin sister. She's here somewhere. I thought it was a little weird because he doesn't have a twin sister, but I shrugged it off. There was probably 80 to 100 people there. All night, he makes it a point to ask each and every group, each and every single person, if they had seen his twin sister. He can't find her. Around 1 AM, in one swift movement, he tucks his wiener between his legs, drops his pants to his ankles, kills the stereo, and starts screaming, twin sister, while quickly shuffling all through the party. Good job, Tim. A girl I know broke up with her boyfriend at a party. He was so mad and drunk that he took both his hands and formed a hammer and smashed through a window. Next thing you know, he is on his knees, pissing blood, with both of his arteries severed. One dude that kept his shit together teared his shirt apart and tied both his arms and carried him like a potato sack in his car and flew to the hospital. He saved his life in front of our eyes. We were like 20 people who saw this, and nobody but this guy did anything. We all stood there like idiots. It was towards the end of the night, and one guy was asleep on a living room chair, legs over one arm, and leaning back against the other arm. He woke up just as he was about to vomit, and his friend literally dove in to catch the vomit with his hands. We didn't want to mess the house, being underage drinkers. That wasn't the crazy bit though. Sleepy guy had caught his own vomit in his hand and said, "It's okay, I got this," and scooped it back into his mouth, swallowed it, then went back to sleep. It's been over 10 years since it happened, and I will never forget watching that. A girl once lectured me about how dangerous cannabis is after she had just done a line of my coke. A very fat friend of mine was extremely drunk and said, "I'm gonna do a flip." And did a complete front flip, landing on a plastic chair, which broke and sliced his arm open. Went to some girl's house party who made the mistake of saying, when everyone was robbing her dad's stuff, "Okay, everyone can take just one item." Obviously that didn't go well. Her house got obliterated. She got kicked out by her parents not long after the party and ended up on heroin. Very sad story, and nobody knows for 100% certain, but whenever we reminisce about it, my friends and I are pretty sure it's that house party that sparked her downward spiral, as she was a well-educated girl and quite well off before that situation happened. She also ended up on Kilroy, an old British talk show, talking about the dangers of heroin and homelessness years later. I walked into a literal pile once. Judging by the amount of limbs, there were at least 5 people in it, with another 6 smoking pot and drinking booze, sitting around the pile like it was a weird bonfire. I went to a house party that got out of control. I was part of the clearing out squad, and I found a very coked up dude in the bathroom, washing his face in the sink, which appeared to filled with blood, like horror movie levels of blood. Apparently he was punched in the face by somebody with a big ring, which had sliced his nose essentially off. I will never forget him stuperously turning towards me to say something, and his nose following his head on a 2-second delay, like a door on a hinge. He looked like Red Skull from the Marvel movies. House party in 1990. I was 19 and in college. The crowd was mostly farm and ranch kids, rodeo team people, a lot of high school girls. I was drinking a beer at the kitchen table talking to some people, playing one card no key. 2 brothers lived in the house we were partying in. Parents were gone. There was a rear projection TV in the living room with MTV or something on it. The older brother, maybe 20, was laying on a beanbag on the living room floor in front of the TV. Younger bro comes in, sees older bro asleep on the beanbag. Younger bro decides he's going to fart on older bro while he sleeps. Younger bro undoes his pants, drops trough, and squats over older brother's nose and pushed. From my perspective, the whole thing was silhouetted by the television screen. A lone turd slithered out of younger bro and landed on older bro's face. Younger bro whispers, "Oh f***," because older bro had opened his eyes. Younger bro takes off running out of the house. Older brother sits up, sniffs, picks up the turd, and yelled, "You shit on my face." Dead silence all around. Older bro gets up and leaves the room and heads down the hall. Comes back a minute later with a 12 gauge pump, feeding shells into the magazine as he walked. Younger bro is outside getting into his truck when he sees older bro coming out the front door. Younger brother fires up his truck and tore out of the yard while older brother is shooting the hell out of the back of that pickup. I didn't party there anymore. I opened the wrong door and witnessed a girl start to vomit on my friend's dong as she was sucking it. That's what you get for not knocking. I went to a college Halloween party about 8 years ago. There was this dude dressed up in a pink gorilla costume, just going ham, life of the party. Dude went a little too hard. He ended up throwing up directly into his gorilla mask while wearing it, and then followed it up by power yeeting himself down the stairs. An ambulance came for him, and we saw him again the next morning, when he returned as a regular colored human and a cast on his leg. Hosted a party once and stayed sober so my house wouldn't turn into a wreck. Walked into my room and saw the biggest guy in my class, bodybuilding kind of big, drunk as F, sitting on my bed, watching reruns of SpongeBob SquarePants and eating nachos. Then looked at me dead in the eye and said, "What? It's a good show." We got so drunk once. We took turns vomiting in a hollowed out stump in the backyard until it was full. I accidentally threw an orgy in uni. Theme was bare as you dare, and I put a bowl of condoms and lube in the hallway, so it was the first thing people saw when they walked in. It was meant to be funny. Turns out, you get a bunch of people naked and drunk, and give them protection, they will screw everywhere. Party was fun, but the cleanup job next day. A car of girls showed up who knew this one girl at the party already. They had been partying elsewhere earlier and fairly hard too. By the time they get to our party, one girl is so drunk she shit in the back of her friend's car and passed out. Girls do indeed poop, and can ruin the back of a Toyota Corolla. It was a nice car. A rando who wound up at a house party asked a couple people if they had heroin, and after we kicked him out, he came back to the smokers area in the alley out back and tried to physically carry a drunk girl off down the back alley. We intervened and got her inside and safe, but that was pretty freaking crazy. Be careful out there, kids. Guy tried to kill himself in the bathroom tub by slashing his wrists. It was a smallish party in an apartment with one bathroom, so people had to pee, so thankfully they got to him in time. We broke down the door when he finally said what he was doing and called an ambulance. He lived. Also went to a psych ward for a few weeks after this. So this was actually a neighboring party in college, but we saw the chaos happen in real time. It was Halloween weekend, and a friend and I were on his back porch having a cigarette and shooting the breeze when suddenly we heard glass break from the neighbor's house. A guy dressed as a Ninja Turtle was now fighting a guy dressed as a zombie in the side yard as others tried to stop them. A girl dressed as a fairy was crying and saying she didn't cheat on the Ninja Turtle guy and it was a misunderstanding. We just stood there watching this unfold, and then someone yelled about the cops being on their way. Everyone panicked and scattered. Some people demanded that we let them hide in my friend's house. He said no, and we both went inside. Later, we got the whole story from one of the guys who lived there. Ninja Turtle guy thought his girlfriend was cheating with zombie guy and decided to pick a fight. He shoved him into a door that had a glass pane and busted it, which was what we heard, and then the fight spilled into the side yard. It was so bizarre to watch two people in Halloween costumes beating the shit out of each other. 911, what's the emergency? A Ninja Turtle is fighting a zombie in the neighbor's yard, and the fairy is crying. Drinking with a bunch of friends, one guy is smashed and spills his full drink all over the floor. He grabs the mop from the closet and starts mopping it up, while the rest of us give him a hard time for wasting alcohol. Deadpan takes the mop, lifts it above his head, and wrings it out into his mouth. Watched a girl shoot heroin between her toes. Watched her turn blue and go unconscious, then die. No one would let me call 911. Watched her boyfriend literally beat her chest as hard as he could, over and over, until by some freaking miracle, she came back. I don't talk to any of these people anymore. Host and their boyfriend having sex in the middle of the room, and everyone else just sitting around, watching TV, and not really that bothered. Well, I once cooked some burgers for a party, and after eating one, the host had a heart attack. I call the recipe I use heart attack burgers now. Yeah, he's fine. Some guy was like, quick, help with this. And a couple girls went over. He needed help with a boner, and got a double BJ in the bathroom. What an absolute Chad. Halloween house party, everyone in fancy dress except one guy. Everybody is having a good time, until no costume guy goes on a rampage, and throws a guy dressed as Shaggy through a ground floor window, and just paces around the room like a wild animal, looking like he's going to do it again. Everyone's in a state of shock, or going out to check on Shaggy. My mate Pete, rest in peace, calmly folds up a chair and smashes the guy over the back with it WWE style, and then threw him out. A guy dressed as Spider-Man was later found asleep in the toilet with a toothbrush hanging out of his ass. I watched a but ugly war pig of a stripper put a lit match into a college kid's dung hole, crab walk over to him completely nude, and put out the match with a queef. Okay, that's enough internet for today for me. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.